Hi everyone, I wanted to show you a quick little video about how to use Zoom for Writing Center appointments and how to set up the link that you'll need and how to get started, how to use a waiting room feature. So not all of your appointments are going to be Zoom appointments, but it is an option for our clients. I think WC Online has a somewhat superior interface because there's that whole interactive space where they can paste a paper and that space remains so that they can come back to it unless that appointment were deleted, they still have access to that space. It's probably better not to totally rely on it, but they can go back there. So I think that's your best bet, but increasingly students are going to be used to Zoom, so they have that option, and you can use share screen to work with them there. So here's the little tutorial. All right. So I've created a mock appointment with Shane, and when the client sets up the appointment, it has to be online, so they will always create an appointment that looks like this. It says Meet Online, and there will always be a link like this. So as soon as a client sets up an appointment, it automatically has a link that you can use to launch WC Online. All right, so I would go into this, and as soon as I go in, I'm prompted whether I can use the camera and microphone. In this case, I'm already running Zoom, so my camera and microphone are already in use, so I'm just going to say don't allow. And in this box is where a client could paste their paper if you wanted to work on it that way. It's where you can type things. You can put in your Zoom link here. The default when you're working in this box is for anything that you type to come up with this little pink-purple highlighting. If you want to get rid of that, you just go to this icon, Clear Authorship Colors. So I could do that. I personally think WC Online is better than Zoom, but a lot of students are familiar with Zoom, so they might choose it. So this is how you set up your Zoom account. So I'm going to open up a new tab in my browser, and I'm going to put in wcupa.zoom.us, and that will pull up the university's account with Zoom. You'll be prompted to sign in using that universal login thing that WCU has now. And since I'm already logged in, it just comes up. So what you do is you go to schedule a meeting, and you'll get an interface like this. And one thing I want to draw your attention to is where it says when, duration, time zone. This little interface here would give you the impression that when you set up a Zoom call, it is restricted to that time. So it will come into existence at the time you set up. But that's actually not the way it works. It's the same as WC Online, where once you set up the appointment, that link exists and you can go into that meeting space. So I would just, ignore this. This part here, when, duration, time, is useful for when you're inviting people to a particular time, but you can ignore it because what we're going to do is I'll just put in, Margaret's tutoring. Okay, so this is a space I'm creating online for my tutoring, and I will use it for all my tutoring, so I can consider it like my favorite table in the Writing Center, the middle table or whatever it is. So Margaret's tutoring, and I'll leave all the defaults the way they are, which is that the meeting ID will be generated automatically, and I'll show you once I create the meeting what that looks like. That's your Zoom link. That the video, host and participant video on is default. That's helpful because then you don't have to tell the person to turn on their camera and all that stuff. And then the next thing I'm going to do is change the meeting option default. So I'm going to take off enable join before host, and I'm going to turn on enable waiting room. So what that does is anytime that someone clicks to join your link in your tutoring space, they'll be put into a waiting room, and you'll get a little doorbell notification that tells you that they're waiting. right, so I'm going to save that. So now I've created Margaret's Tutoring. It's a online space that's available whenever I want to use it. So I'm going to kind of bookmark this link for myself, put it where, wherever you, like I put it in a memo in my phone or whatever you want to do to keep track of that link. All right. So then you go back to WC Online. Where were we here? Into this space, and I will put my Zoom link in here. Okay. I unhighlight the color again. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna close out of this space now. And so now it's set up so that Shane's client can just click here, and the first thing they'll see is the Zoom link. Okay, so I set up this Margaret's Tutoring link. I can also go over here, it says Manage Margaret's Tutoring. That means I could go in and edit the meeting and change whatever the defaults are. But I also have this link at the top that says My Meetings. If I go into that space, I have all of my upcoming meetings scheduled, and I have all my previous meetings, and I also have this thing called Personal Meeting Room. So everyone is automatically assigned a link that's somewhat similar to what I just set up. I'm personally not using my Personal Meeting Room link for tutoring. I mean, you can if you want. I'm using my Personal Meeting Room link for my advisees and stuff like that. So I have it set up the same way, enable waiting room, but that's just to let you know that that Personal Meeting Room link is a default in Zoom, and all of us have an account that we can sign into, and it's already created for us. But using upcoming meetings, I have now Margaret's Tutoring. I will always be able to click on Start to start that meeting. Writing Center Virtual Staff Space, I can always click Join for that. So it's already running. That's why it says Join there. Okay, so I'm gonna log off, Sarah, and I'm gonna send you a link for us to try out the waiting room function,
Okay.
and I'll send it via email. Ding dong. All right. So now it says see waiting room. Sorry, my computer's jiggling around. All right, it says, should I admit Sarah? Yes. Admit. Hello. So now I just admitted you to the
That was nice.
room. So it just said you're waiting or something like
Mhm.
that? Okay.
Yeah, it said that the meeting would automatically start when the host turns it on.
Yep. So for me, I got a little doorbell like the Avon lady. Ding dong. So it's pretty cool. And
Yeah.
then when you leave the meeting, then the next, another person could be coming in, I'd hear the tone, and then, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like
nice.
that. Yep, it is. It's cool. Oof. There we go. That's it. So